Welcome to Life in Calgary, Alberta. I'm Patrick Murray. Today, we're going to talk about the latest Calgary housing market update. But before we do that, if this is your first time to this channel and you want to know everything there is about what it's like to eat, sleep, breathe, live, and play in Calgary, Alberta, then please just hit that subscribe button and click that bell so you get notified every single time I release a new video. Now, I've lived in 5 major Canadian cities in my lifetime, but I settled in Calgary way back in 2001. And not only that, I've been a realtor here since 2010. And all of this means I have some specialized knowledge about the city of Calgary and the surrounding bedroom communities. So if you are considering a move to the city of Calgary or one of the bedroom communities and you'd like some assistance to purchase a home, please feel free to reach out to me, send me a text, email, or a phone call. I will absolutely get back to you. All right, guys, let's do this. Let's talk about the latest City of Calgary market update right after this. All right, everyone. So let's jump in to see what's going on in the City of Calgary this November. Now, before we get started, we're talking about the end of October 2024 real estate statistics. And this is the latest and greatest information. So we don't have November, obviously, because the month hasn't completed yet. So this is everything from the end of October with the latest data. And we're going to talk about detached homes. We're going to talk about semi-detached homes. We're going to talk about row homes, and we're going to talk about apartment condominiums. Now, before we get started, we are talking about benchmark pricing. And the reason we're talking about benchmark pricing is because it's a far more stable way of talking about pricing as opposed to talking about median or average sale prices, where in such situations like that, the data can be skewed if there were, say, an unusual amount of higher end sales in a particular month, or say an unusual amount of lower end sales of homes in a month. It could really skew the data and it would be all over the place. So benchmark pricing is a stable way of talking about pricing. It talks about what the average home would sell for in each of these sectors. And it breaks it down from neighborhood to neighborhood, community to community, sector of the city to sector of the city, and puts it together for the city of Calgary. So that's what we're looking at here. Now, I got to tell you guys, kind of some interesting stuff going on with the real estate stats right now. So it's kind of a tale of two markets, if you will, because we have balanced conditions in the upper part of the market and a seller's market in the low to mid price ranges for each property type. So you will see that when you're looking at these charts today with me, you're going to see that a lot of stuff saying that we're in, just into balanced territory and that sort of thing. And that it talks about how hot the market is. But again, it's a little bit skewed because again, on one end we have a seller's market, and on the other end it is more of a balanced market. So that's what we're going to be talking about here today. Now, you're also going to notice that prices have softened some, but this is due to regular seasonal softening, which we would normally see in the fall and winter. So that's also what we're seeing here. So without further ado, let's get into things. So first off, we're looking at the City of Calgary detached market. Now, in the detached market, there's have been some additional supply choices in the higher price properties here, which have eased some of the pressure on the detached home prices. And the recent price pullbacks are related to seasonal conditions, and seasonally adjusted prices have, well, remained relatively stable over the last 3 months. And we're going to see that as a theme throughout all of the sectors here. So first off, we see that we're just into balanced territory when we look at this little dial here at 48.7% listing absorption rate. And that means as of the end of October, we had 2,199 listings for sale, with 1,071 of them, or 48.7% of those listings being sold. Okay, now again, remembering it's that tale of two cities, right? The low to mid versus the higher end of the market. Now, the benchmark price here is $753,900. This is down very little, just down 0.42% from last month. And year over year, though, we're still up 8.07% from October of last year. So if we look at this chart, October of last year, prices were 697,600, and here we are at the 753.9. And the black represents prices going up, and the blue prices going down. So you can see from January, to February, it took off like a shot. And yes, you're probably looking at these October and November and saying, "Well, Patrick, that's black. The market was going up." very different year last year. We had record sales going on, extremely hot market, lots of competition going on. But here you can see from January to July, prices went up. And now the school's in, August, September, October, a little bit of that seasonal softening. You can see down 0.68%, down 0.72% September, down 0.42% in October. So again, very slight, nothing drastic, just some seasonal softening. Now, if we look at the benchmark price trend over the last 10 years, you can see in 2015, prices were $516,933 dollars in this market. And then if you look at 2024, we're currently up to $748,660. Yes, this number is different than the benchmark price here for the month, and that's because this number down below in the 10-year chart is the average of January to October. So we're not yet finished the year. That's why this number is a little bit different. And this is a gain over this 10 years of 44.83% in that sector of the market. Now, we'll look at the actives and solds. Again, 2,199 active properties. This is down 5.05% from last month, but year over year, we are up 38.83% from October of last year. So that's supply, guys. That's the number of active listings. Now, the amount of solds, you can see that we're 1,071 for October. That's up 13.69% from last month. So that's pretty good. Actually, October was actually a pretty good market. So while we were talking about things seem to be slowing down, well, a bit of a misnomer because October was actually very good in the real estate market. So fairly strong. And year over year, the amount of solds is up 9.73% from, well, October of last year, guys. So again, really something. Now, days on market, you can see 32 days on market on average right now. You can see the October, the far right here. Last month it was 27, August was 26. If we look at last year, last October, it was 27 days on market and then 32 in November. So we're trending in that direction right now, maybe a little bit earlier, again, just because our market conditions are a little bit different from last year. And if we look at this market distribution, you can see the majority of sales were in that $600,000 to $700,000 price range, followed by that $700,000 to $800,000 price range, then that $500,000 to $600,000 range, and then that $800,000 to $900,000 range. Then, and this always gets me, we skip over that 9 to 1 million range, and we go to that 1 million to $1.5 million range, and then the 900 to $1 million range, and so on and so forth. All right, now we're going to take a look at the semi-detached sector of the market. So for those of you unfamiliar with what semi-detached means, it's kind of like a duplex, if you will. And Calgary has all sorts of them, some older ones, but we've got some incredibly beautiful newer semi-detached homes as well. Now, in this sector of the market, sales rose over the last month and last year, and there has been an increase in the new listing inventory, which has helped push the market towards some more balanced conditions. So let's take a look here. So this listing absorption chart, quite similar to the detached chart. We're sitting at 48.72%, which is just into balanced territory. And that's because we had just 390 listings available for sale last month, with 190 of them, or 48.72% of those listings selling. Looking at the benchmark price, we're sitting at $677,000 throughout the city. Again, this takes into account the most expensive and the least expensive and averages them all out. Now, this number is down just 0.21% from September, but year over year, we're up 8.03% from October. Again, quite similar with these numbers in comparison to the detached sector of the market. So last October, the pricing here was 626,700. Here we are sitting at 677,000. And you can see that, starting in February, prices here went up, up, up all the way through July, and then a little bit of softening starting in August and then September of October. So again, that seasonal softening we're seeing. 10-year price trend chart here. 2015, the benchmark price is 412,800. Currently sitting at $667,580, or is that $60? And that, again, that's averaging out January through to October so far, so the year isn't done. And the price change from over that 10 years is 61.72%. So wow, that's really something. Now, looking at the active and sold summary, 390 actives. This is up 3.17% from September. So again, that is supply. Year over year, though, the amount of actives in this sector of the market is up 36.84%. If we look at the amount of solds, sitting at 190 for the month. This number is up 4.4% from last month. And again, year over year, we're up 6.15%. So again, as I mentioned earlier about the detached sector of the market, same thing with the semi-detached sector. Not a bad, if you really look at the data and how we're up from last year and up from last month, it was actually a pretty decent month in October for real estate. Looking at the average days on market, sitting in 28 for October. September was 25, August was 25. Let's look at October of last year. It was 25. So we're just a few days under, and in November was 28. So we're trending in that direction right now. And if we look at the market distribution, you can see the majority of the sales, the highest number of sales, I should say, in any one price sector was in that $500,000 to $600,000 range, followed by that $600,000 to $700,000 range, and then that $400,000 to $500,000 range. But then check out the $700,000 range all the way up to $1.5 million. We're looking at close to 30% of the market was in this higher end of the market. So wow, that's really telling. And now we're going to talk about Calgary row housing. And for those of you unfamiliar with that terminology, well, guys, it's a townhouse. And its townhouse is different from a semi-detached. Semi-detached property shares one wall. A townhouse is three properties or more sharing common walls. So if we look at the row houses, first off, there has been a bit of a pullback in the number of sales here due to some supply constraints, but again, it's not because of decreased demand. Now, the decreased sales is driven by row homes under $400,000, and this is the same segment with a 35% decrease in new listings. So the reason sales are down is because we're down in listings in this sector of the market. And of course, this is the most affordable areas, this below 400,000. So the supply growth is happening on the pricier side of this sector. Let's get into things. So the listing absorption rate, again, fairly similar, just a few percentile down from the semi-detached and the detached sector, sitting at 45.03%. So this is considered balanced territory, again, taking into consideration the high and low to come up with this figure. So as of October, we had 784 listings with 353 of them, or 45.03% of those listings being sold in October. If we look at the benchmark price here, sitting at $456,600, now down 0.57% from last month, but year over year up 8.1% from October of last year. So again, this year over year pricing is quite similar with the other two sectors we already looked at. So in October of last year, the benchmark price is $422,400, currently sitting at this $456,600. And you can see the market took off January through to June and then started a little bit softening, just barely in July, down 0.09%, and then down roughly half a percentile in August, September, and October. Now, if we look at this 10-year benchmark price trend chart, you can see in 2015, that was $323,000 was the benchmark price, and now we're sitting at this, 452,740. Again, this takes into consideration from January to October, so we don't have November and December. That's why this figure here is different from our benchmark price for the month of October itself. And if you bought in 2015, you would have made roughly 40.17% on your investment here. Now, looking at this active and sold summary, we've got those 784 actives. Now, month over month, this is up 4.95% from last month, and year over year, hold on your socks, guys. Year over year, this is up 110.19% from October of last year. So that's really something. With again, a lot of these gains being in the higher price points. Now, if we look at the sold data, we're looking at 353 sold for the month. Now that's down 6.37% from last month, and year over year we're down 5.87%. Even though our supply is up over 110%, we're only down 5.87% in the amount of solds from year over year. Now, the average days on market sitting at 31, it was 25 in September. Last October, just to show you how hot the market was, days on market was 23 days on market, 22 in November. So I don't think we're going to see that November this year. I suspect we'll be close to these October numbers for the days on market for November. But that just shows you how little supply we had last year. And this next chart here again shows you the market distribution where the most sales were. So there are about 40% of those sales are in that $400,000 to $500,000 range, followed by 22.27% of those sales in the $300,000 to $400,000 range, and then 20.64% of those sales in that $500,000 to $600,000 range, and so on and so forth. All right, and now apartment condominiums. Now, sales here have decreased in this sector of the market when we're just slightly off pace from last year's record sales activity and double the amount of experience over the previous decade. So conditions remain tight for the lower price product here with inventory gains in the higher price ranges. And this has taken some of the pressure off pricing overall. Now, new construction in some areas of the city is also affecting some of the resale activity. So it is good to see some of that new supply coming onto the market. It's going to be a long time before it has a huge effect on our supply. But we do need it. So let's get into things here. So you're going to notice the listing absorption rate quite different from the other three sectors of the market we just looked at. We are in balanced market territory, but sitting at 35.15%. So balance is 30 to 50%. So a little bit lower, right? If we look at the benchmark price, though, sitting at $341,700. Now, this is down nearly 1% from last month at 0.96%, but year over year, we're up 11.38% from October of last year. And check out this chart. So last year, the price in this sector of the market was $306,800, and here we are sitting at this $341,700. And you can see from last October all the way through to August, prices were going up, 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 and then not quite a 0.5% decline in September, almost 1% down in October. Again, nothing drastic. Our market is still very stable. Now, looking at the benchmark price trend over the last 10 years, in 2015, prices were $292,458, and here we are sitting at $336,400. Again, averaging out January to October so far. November, December yet to come into play. And you're going to see that in 2016 through to 2020, prices were going down, and that's because we had an oversupply product. I mean, some months we had 7 months, 10 months worth of supply in this sector of the market. So that's an awful lot of supply. So we had to get through that. So it was very much a buyer's market. Prices really were softening. But we've had a huge recovery starting in 2021 and then accelerated through the last few years. So that's where we're at with that part. Let's move on to the active and sold listings here. Looking at 1,593 actives for the apartment condominium sector. Now, month over month, this is down 1.85% from last month, but year over year, we're up 68.04% from last October. So, we have a greatly more supply in this market. That's not proper English, but bear with me. All right, looking at the solds, we've got 560 solds now. Month over month, this is up 11.55% from last month. So that's good news. Even though month to month our supply is down a little bit, we are up a fair bit. And year over year, though, our sales are down 12.64% from October, even though our supply is up. And again, that's just because of where the affordability lies in this sector of the market. And we've got a little more supply too, so the market is somewhat less competitive here. But again, keep in mind the lower sectors of the market still competitive all across the board. It's the higher ends of the market where we're seeing some of that price softening. Okay, looking at the days on market, sitting at 35 days on market here for October. September was 33, August was 32. Last October, sitting at 29, and 29 for December even. So, I don't think we'll be in that range in November. But again, just shows that the market was a little hotter back then. And looking at the market distribution, 41.95% of those sales taking place in that $300,000 to $400,000 range, followed by that $200,000 to $300,000 range, roughly 35% of the market. And then the $400,000 to $500,000 range was roughly 13.33%, and so on and so forth. Okay, so what does all this mean? Well, there is some cautionary tales going on. I hear a lot of people out there talking about, well, we're going to wait till interest rates can continue to come down and for mortgage rates to soften. Now, again, I do want to caution you here, just to give you a clear picture of what's happening. It's great news to see rates coming down by the Bank of Canada. However, mortgage rates aren't affected the same way. They don't come down at the same rate, and mortgage rates are greatly affected by the bond rate. So that's something to keep in mind as well. And right now, we're just not seeing, the bond rate coming down, which is going to affect mortgage rates. So that's why mortgage rates are kind of remaining high. The only people that are really getting a break right now are those people that are on those variable mortgages that are riding the interest rate. And so, yes, we're waiting for those rates to come down. People are on the sidelines. But the Bank of Canada is also putting on some new mortgage rules coming December 15th for buyers, and especially first-time buyers. So that's going to be something to pay attention to. And I'm not going to get into all that right now. If you want to find out more about that, check out my previous video where I discussed that. But some exciting stuff coming. But what's all this going to do? Well, the fact that rates are coming down, the fact that there's these new incentives coming in, we anticipate that there's going to be another uh, buying frenzy coming up in Calgary very soon, probably in the spring. At the latest late spring, but I think we're going to see a real frenzy in the market for buyers. We're going to see a lot of buyers in the market. We're going to see a lot of competition, and we're going to see prices increasing. Now, the caution comes here. If you are waiting and you wait too long, you may find that all the money you're saving on the lower mortgage rate is going to be wiped out because the market is going to be higher. So any savings you would have realized aren't going to be realized. So I would say to you right now, there is product available to you. There is less competition. Um, and prices have had this little bit of seasonal softening right now, and this is kind of the calm before the storm, if you will, in my opinion. So if you are considering buying, I would recommend speaking with a qualified mortgage broker to come up with a strategy that might work for you and your family. Maybe, maybe you buy something now, but you close, maybe in January, or maybe you buy something now and you get the variable rate and you ride that down until you feel comfortable, and then you can lock in at that time if that's your play, or continue on if you're a variable rate. But again, these are discussions that you should really have with a qualified mortgage broker. And my goal is to give you the information so that you can see what's happening, to keep you abreast of what's happening in the market. And if I can help you, I would love to help you. All right, guys, that's what I got.
As I said earlier, if you are considering a move to the city of Calgary or one of the bedroom communities and you would like some assistance to purchase a home, please feel free to reach out to me, send me a text, email, or phone call. I will absolutely get back to you so you can live your life in Calgary, Alberta.